Hey everyone, how you doing? We're at about the midpoint of the semester and things are starting to get a little hectic. This video is going to help you kind of figure out some basics for the rhetorical analysis. It might be a video that you might come back to later and look at again. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the prompt for the assignment. I'm going to break down the rubric. I'm going to show you a sample paper, and then I'm going to talk to you about how the writer in that sample paper constructed paragraphs. So I'm hoping that this video will be useful to you. I hope the sample essay that you can take a look at will also give you some ideas about where to go with your rhetorical analysis. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the prompt for the rhetorical analysis. So the draft is going to be due, it says somewhere around. It's definitely going to be due on Friday, October the 23rd. It's going to take me a little bit to get you feedback on that. And once you get the feedback from me, you have a week from receiving that feedback to send me your revision. So that's when the assignment is due. But you've already read a draft of this, and some of you gave me some feedback, and I changed actually a couple things based on the feedback that you gave me. This list right here, this is really what's most important for this assignment. These are the things that you need to show me that you get, that you understand and can do for you to earn your side of the B contract, to kind of keep up your end of the B contract. So here's what I'm looking for. You need to be able to support a thesis statement. That thesis needs to be about how rhetoric is used in the speech that you're analyzing. You need to be able to apply contextual information, so that means like your research about the speech, its author, its audience, the occasion. You need to be able to use that research to support your argument, support your thesis statement in your paper. You need to use evidence from the speech and integrate at least 3 to 5 credible sources in your body paragraph, not just like in your introduction or in your conclusion, and those sources need to be used to help support your paper's arguments. So there's a little bit of overlap between these two. One is, that you're able to kind of find and learn a fair bit about the speech, and then the other one is actually what kind of sources did you use? Were they quality sources? Are you actually including them in your paper and not just like in the introduction and conclusion? Integrate quotes and paraphrases into your paper. I'll be teaching you later this week about how to use paraphrases. You've already learned how to use quotes. And again, these need to be integrated into your essay. They need to not show up like out of the blue or commit one of Stedman's annoyances. You also need to include focus paragraphs. They need to be about one particular rhetorical issue or one particular audience that you're analyzing, but there needs to be one focus in your paragraphs. And this is still kind of an area that I think a lot of folks are kind of struggling with. Organization, I'm adding that to this assignment. So we're going to be talking about how you arrange paragraphs, why you're placing them in places that you have them, making sure that your paragraphs have a meaningful reason for being in the location that you place them in, so organization. And that also needs transition, so that you're explaining the connection between ideas. Also going to be taking a look at MLA format, and that includes in-text citations and a works cited list. So we're going to be going beyond just setting up your paper in correct MLA format, and we're going to actually start getting into in-text citations and your works cited, and that's going to be later this week as well. M-dashes, which we've already talked about. I'd also like you to take a stab at using a thoughtful and interesting title. So that's what I'm looking for in your assignment or in your essay. Let me talk to you a little bit about the rubric. So hold on one sec. Here's the rubric for the rhetorical analysis. I had one of these for the previous assignment for the film review, but I didn't really talk about it much. I kind of assumed that folks knew where they were at, but I got a lot of questions about your grades for the film review, and I think it'd be helpful to take a look at the rubric and to explain how I use a rubric for this assignment. So you have over here on the left, these are the criteria. These are the items that I'm looking for in your assignment. So it kind of comes from this list here. These are the 6 objectives or goals that I really want you to be able to show me that you get, that you can do. They're over here on the left-hand side. So thesis statement, and then in order to meet the B contract, you're aiming for this satisfactory category here. The thesis statement has a clear focus with supporting reasons and makes an argument about the use of rhetoric in the speech. So it's focused on what the assignment is asking you to do. The thesis statement is. Supporting evidence, are you using evidence to support that thesis statement? Nobody's perfect, so there might be one or two places where you don't pull that off. I give allowances for that. If you're going beyond one or two instances where you're not using research and quotes to support the thesis statement, then you got some work to do. So I kind of break down and explain what it's going to look like when you meet the B contract for each of those criteria for the assignment. So using research, or integrating quotes and paraphrases, or making sure your paragraphs are focused, the organization and transitions that you use in your essay. I kind of explain what all that looks like. So I have a number of failings as a professor and things that I can always get better at. One thing that I am really good at is when I tell you that I'm going to look for X, Y, and Z in your essay, I stick to X, Y, or Z. You might have atrocious grammar or spelling, but if I'm not using that as a main criteria for evaluating your writing, I'm not going to give you much flack for that. I might mention it. It might be something that you could address. It might be helpful to you to think about some of these other issues. But when I tell you that there are 5 or 6 main criteria for an assignment, your feedback is going to be usually about those 5 or 6 criteria, and your grade is definitely going to be about those 5 or 6 criteria. So I'm pretty forgiving with a lot of things. The one place where I'm a real asshole is if I tell you that I'm looking for something, you got to give me that. So if I'm asking you for transitions or organization or to have focused paragraphs, if you think you might be able to slide because you did the other things correctly, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. I stick to those 5 or 6, and I don't go off the script too much. If you have questions about that, if you're not sure where your essay is, you need to reach out to me and let me know. This is a student essay that was written last academic year, last fall. She was writing about a speech that you all are not analyzing for the rhetorical analysis. This is Mary Fisher's speech about the AIDS epidemic back in the early 90s. Same exact assignment, just a different speech, and you will need to kind of take a look at this and answer some questions and think about how the writer did on this assignment for your discussion board post today. I did want to point out a couple things though, and I'm going to talk about organization of ideas and transitioning between ideas. That I might come back to this essay to discuss some of those issues, like there's kind of a gap in ideas right here. That's not really what this speech is about, or I'm sorry, what this video is about. I did want to point your attention to how the writer develops body paragraphs, because you need to get to some point where you can actually start writing your rhetorical analysis, and you probably have questions about, all right, how the hell do I write a paragraph about a rhetorical analysis? Well, the way that you go about doing it is you set it up by rhetorical issue. So an appeal to ethos. The writer here has an appeal to ethos, and there's a very clear sentence that kind of says this is what the paragraph is about. She starts off her speech by appealing to credibility. I don't like necessarily just writing about what she starts off doing. You're not going through the chronology of her essay. The writer might revise that and say the most effective appeal that the speaker uses is credibility. So I would probably disagree with that part right here. But what the writer does have is pretty solidly well-constructed paragraphs. So we know what the topic is, it's credibility, and then she is kind of setting it up, and then she introduces quotes and specifics from the speech to support her ideas. That's kind of how a lot of the paragraphs should work. You're saying, this is the rhetorical issue that I want to write about. You're using examples from the speech. You're also using research like the writer does here in this paragraph, using quote from the Los Angeles Times to kind of back up what the writer is talking about, the writer's analysis of the speech. So I kind of wanted to give you guys an opportunity to take a look at a sample essay that a student had written in the past. It's not perfect. For me, it satisfies the B contract criteria more or less. And if you're working towards something like this in your own writing, I think that you're going to be in good shape. So today I'll give you some instructions with the discussion board post in the prompt, but I'd like you to kind of take a look at this and write a little bit about how you think the writer did based on the rubric for this assignment. But this is also an opportunity for you to take a look at what a rhetorical analysis looks like, or at least a decent draft of a rhetorical analysis. That's it for now. I will talk to you all soon. Again, if you have any questions about this assignment, if you're feeling stuck or frustrated, now's a really good time to kind of check in and ask me about it. All right, talk to y'all soon.